Good afternoon. This is your presenter, Mr. Kejau Touray. It has been a while. I'm expecting my co-host, Mr. Goswell, to join me shortly. We have so much to talk about today. Let's see if there are no obstacles to this, if everything is fine and people can hear us. So let's see. So today we want to talk about, I hope Mr. Goswell can join me in a bit. It has been a while. So today I want to talk about Mr. Goswell also. We want to talk about diversity in the GD in the Gambia, our political diversity, the issues that we have in the recent days, how we can work to make it a peaceful coexistence in our country. We want to live in the country peacefully. I'm looking for my diary, but I can't seem to find it. The incident in Manduar, for instance, and the incident in Kanilai, those are very important issues that we thought we should come around and talk about it. We hope to do this every week, but sometimes we cannot. But regardless of what our commitments are, when issues like Manduar and Kanilai happen, we have to drop everything and start and come and talk about. And I urge everyone to do this in your own way. Just talk to the people, because we cannot have these kind of issues in our country. We are too much intermarriage, interrelated for this kind of issues. My best friends are from Fonyi. Many of them are Jolas. They are from Serakunda. Many of them are Wolofs. I'm from Nyamina, where we have so much diversity. So I think it's very, very important that we all come out and talk about this in an interactive way. So let's see what our viewers are saying. We all come out and talk about this. Okay, so just to make sure that I can see what people are saying. So Mr. Goswell is not here yet, so I'll start talking about Kanilai issue. Because Mr. Goswell is not here, I think I'm free to talk in other languages as well, as it is a diversity. So I will speak in Mandinka, in Wolof, a little bit Fula if I can, and Sarahule, and even Jola. So thank you guys. It's an interactive session, so let me know what you guys think. But I personally think that we are too interrelated for this kind of issues to happen. And I urge the government to take very swift action to make sure that this kind of things don't happen at all. Anybody who wants to do them will think again before you start thinking about attacking our political parties. Every party has a right to go everywhere they want. And the president, Adam Barrow, came out yesterday. I'm not sure whether before the incident or during the incident or after the incident, but some people seem to think that he came out after the incident to take advantage of this situation and to lambast the UDP for patrolling. He calls them black thugs. I think he meant to say black thugs. So those are very scary issues, and I think we all have a duty to talk about these issues. Everybody has a right to go anywhere you want in the country. You cannot restrict people's rights to roam about the country. Even if they are wearing black. You know what I mean? And these people are not wearing black, they're wearing yellow t-shirts. So and he started saying he has never seen people roaming about in But there are so many things he's never seen in the country, in the world around. You know, we have never seen so much crime in the country, for instance, and he doesn't want to talk about that. We have never seen so much environmental devastations of our seas, you know, and he doesn't want to talk about that. You know, so many other things he has never seen in the country. And people have rights to walk around. You know, I even commend the APRC for coming out to say that they condemn this thing, you know, on freedom. But I urge them to come out and hold a press conference like they would have if at all it's one of their people who has been attacked. You know, because it looks like they are the perpetrators of this violence. So we expect them to come out and hold press conferences and tell the people, you know, that they condemn this, that they don't want to encourage this at all. That's the only way we can stop this kind of issues from happening. It's the only way we can make sure that this doesn't happen at all. And the police, you know, can you imagine? We have ECOMOG, you know, we have Gambian military right inside Kanilai, and these kind of issues are happening. You know, I don't know why they didn't come out, and I don't know where the incident happened and where they were, because they need to intervene in certain issues. Otherwise, they're going to sprawl into you know, the disturbances that will affect the whole country. This is a real serious issue. People have rights to go anywhere, and I'm so disappointed in Adam Barrow. He was so unpresidential. You cannot come out when people are attacking other people, and the people they're attacking you, calling those people thugs. I mean, who is the thug here? Is it Kanila youth or the APRC people? Who is preventing? Who did we see on the video attacking the other person? Who did we see, you know, throwing stones at a moving convoy? I think we all saw what happened. You know, Mr. Goswell is here, and I'm so disappointed, and I'm so very much disappointed. Welcome, Mr. Goswell. Yeah, you're connecting with audio. So as I was saying, I'm so disappointed in Adam Barrow. You know, he should have been presidential. He should have come out and condemned the youth, and the police should take swift action. You know, the response of the police was timely, was effective, but it was not. You know, welcome, Mr. Goswell.
Hello, Kejau. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, my friend. How is it going? It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while, definitely. And my apologies if I.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I couldn't hear your last bit. It was flipping and everything. You are on mute. We can't hear you. You are on mute. Yeah, okay.
Yes, I just my apologies for not honoring previous invitations.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's okay that we take a break a little bit sometimes.
Yes, I think yes, that's good so that we can rewind our batteries and come for, because it's going to be a very busy schedule from now till December.
Exactly. Yeah, and the weather was so good in UK during those.
Yes. In fact, today we're spoiled for choice because England are not playing. If England were playing, we won't be on today, you know.
Okay, you are right. Yeah.
Yes.
So today I'm talking about the diversity in UDP as usual, and the diversity in our country, in our politics, and how we can avoid conflicts. The Kanilai issue, and the Manduar issue. What's your take on the Kanilai issue? Because I feel that it is so much unfortunate. People have a right to go anywhere they want, and they have all rights to monitor what's happening in their country. You know, even as a journalist or as a political party looking at voters. And I'm so disappointed in President Barrow. What's your take, Mr. Goswell?
Well, first and foremost, party politics should not lead to sectionalism, thinking that this is your area and it's a no-go area for your opponents. That is what it seems to be happening at Kanilai. And this is what APRC have been doing from time immemorial. An area which they perceive as their base, they will try to frustrate UDP or other political parties from even entering the area. Because Kejau, this is not the first time it's happened. This happened in 1999 when a place like Mansa Konko, APRC talks came there whilst Juara was representing UDP, and they stood there and said they've received orders from above that this man should not stay or step foot at LRR, and he had to be escorted out of LRR. Now, the same thing, quite similar to what they did yesterday, where people went there to monitor an electoral process, and for some reason, they were assaulted. And if anybody thinks, I hear some people saying, oh yes, but UDP cannot be, cannot claim foul when they do certain things, which I said, we don't do anything. I said, the reason why I'm condemning it is because it could happen to another politician in future. And we need to be very careful that if we make this as a precedent, then we're dividing this country into sections, into no-go areas. And once we start doing that, it's a panacea for civil unrest. We all remember, I am on record. I do not support 3 years Jotna because I always believe that 5 years should have stayed, should have been the order. But I support them for their rights to go out and protest. And when 3 years Jotna wanted to protest, hand over a petition to the president in Banjul, they said, no, you have to stop at Denton Bridge, because certain Banjulians were saying that they will not allow them to come to Banjul because they were ready to cause riots. Yeah. And this is sickening. And this is the pattern that we're having. We also have an MPP man that said if Modu Savale and co step foot in Gambisara, they'll have problems. So this is what's happening. It's a trend that's happening, of which I expect sober political analysts to look into it and ask themselves whether is this the way forward for peace and prosperity in the Gambia.
Yeah. So how do you think we can stop this? Because I believe the police have a very important...
Well, the problem is the police have a role to play in this, but time on time, you see the police are not properly equipped. Now, the police can come and say you cannot wear military paraphernalia, but on the same token, you cannot even properly guard a voting center, or a voter registration center. You cannot even provide security for these people. People went there, and if UDP had just retaliated with the numbers, it could have been serious.
Very serious, absolutely.
Yes, and I want to commend Ibrahim Adiba for the maturity he showed even when he was asked, when he was receiving treatment, he asked his supporters to stay calm. And that's what mature people do. And I also have to commend Amul Nyasi from what I read in the Freedom newspaper, of which he condemned it.
Absolutely.
Yes, I have to commend Musti Jabang, who went out, even though he's not a UDP supporter, he's a PP supporter. He had an audio tape and condemned it.
Yeah, a lot of people, Toma and Jai also condemned it.
Yes, everybody should condemn it because it's...
But is it enough for APRC just to go on freedom and condemn it? Should they issue a public...
Well, yes, but given the timing of
this conference,
given the timing of it, let them give them the benefit of that. At least they were bold. Somebody was bold enough in his capacity as a top official to condemn it. So we need to commend them for that.
Okay, so coming back to so we expect the president himself to come and condemn.
Well, the irony here is that whilst he had the 345 traditional chiefs or authorities at a meeting, calling UDP talks wearing black. Simultaneously, something was happening at Kanilai.
Okay, so was it before or during or after?
Well, it happened the same day.
The same day, the same time.
It happened the same day.
Almost the same time, yeah.
So what people have to
know whether that this was recorded or you know, maybe those people were reacting in you know, because of what he said. It could be.
It could be. Yeah. But as a responsible man, a party that brought you up, a party that put you in the political map, you cannot call a party of talks.
Exactly.
It's ungratefulness, and it's even dishonesty.
Yeah.
You cannot be so desperate.
In this situation, why is he calling them?
It's just like disowning
talks. He said talks. So I don't know what he meant talks. Maybe he meant talks. So why is he calling them talks?
Well, he said black UDP are in talks.
Yeah, and they're not even black.
And there's another one there for somebody who is a politician in his capacity as advisor, one time Minister of Youth and Sports, even said if Ousseynou Dawo becomes president of the Gambia, State House will be a hospital.
Really?
Yes, he said it. It's in the Fatu Network report. It's been reported. I mean, it's a statement of bad taste, and UDP will never allow somebody to go on their platform and make such statements.
Absolutely.
People will say statements in their individual capacity, but not in a capacity where the president is seated and you're making such remarks.
No.
And this is what it's a bad taste, and I expected him to. If I was him, I should remove that comment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or at least he should come out and condemn it.
Well, the problem is to make such statements against. How low can you go?
Yeah.
To wish somebody to be constantly hospitalized because he is the president. He's the president of the country.
Is that what he was trying to say there?
That's what he's saying. He's saying that if he becomes, because he's too old.
Okay.
He's too old. It's there.
No,
and you see, this is what's going to people. If you can't give
talk about issues that are happening, that are affecting the people.
Yes, then certainly
that nobody wants to. Nobody understands what you are saying.
Yes.
So I think these are the problem. You saw how.
And these are the statements that they make. And if UDP respond, people start saying, "Oh, they're back again." And I commend UDP for giving him a blind, just ignoring him. I commend him for it.
Yeah, maybe we should ignore him here too.
Yes, I think we will ignore him because it's of no relevance.
Yeah,
and the sad thing, once upon a time, his wife used to say, that was his uncle.
Who is it? Who are you talking about here?
I'm talking about the Honorable Henry Gomez.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay, and the president himself, instead of condemning these issues, I think he went on to say that he went to talk about the fact that some people in the West went to some people in the US who are black people, he said, and they can, I don't know whether maybe you understand the Mandinka he was trying to say.
Well, I mean, what he was trying to say is that the UDP diaspora, whatever, went to Senegal and spoke to...
Yeah, they went to the embassy.
And to tell not... And well, what he said is not something that we haven't said before. Well, unfortunately, I didn't know this was coming up, but I have a newspaper cutting when, in 1992, Jawara said aliens should not vote in this election.
Yeah.
And that is what we were trying to say. We said that 29 years ago, and we're saying it again.
Absolutely.
And what Uncle Sidat Job and others did, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I have the material somewhere. If had I known that this was going to be an issue, I would have scanned it in and sent you a copy. This was something said in 1992, that aliens should not take part. It's the rules.
Absolutely, it's the law.
Yes, it's the rule. And going to an embassy and telling them, look, you should not take part. Tell your people to stay away from our politics. It's an honest request.
Absolutely. So if the president comes out to say we should let them do that, we shouldn't do that, is he not encouraging people aliens to come and vote for him?
No, is this misconception of what xenophobia is all about? Yeah. What is a xenophobic statement? Well, would you want your political survival to be based on foreigners? No, you don't. Would you want it to be determined by foreigners' participation? No, you don't. So what's the big fuss about it? What's the big fuss?
Absolutely, absolutely. It looks like he is a little bit desperate and trying to show his desperation and his anger that people are trying to, dismantle his plans and that's why I always urge UDP supporters to go out and talk to even these people that he's saying that they are foreigners, so that they can come in large numbers into UDP.
Well, I mean, the problem is
policies. We have so much good policies for migrants into the country. I think at the Congress, what the UDP said was that they are going to scrap alien fees for registration, annual fees that we pay. And they're going to make it so much easy for other people to join in. So UDP is a diverse party. UDP is encouraging foreigners to come in and
yes,
contribute to our livelihood.
That's true, but on the same token, there are people out there who tend to misinterpret our stance.
Exactly.
There are people out there that play the nasty politics.
Absolutely.
There are people out there that say things that don't tell well for the party. There are people among ourselves that get easily carried away by sentiments and start saying things which basically shouldn't be saying them.
Yeah. And had the last insult by that ugly guy, purporting to be. I don't know why the people say he was UDP, because I didn't.
Well, the problem is this: at the moment, it's easy to gain popularity by accusing UDP of anything negative.
Yeah.
Something happens to say it's UDP.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember when we all remember when the students were murdered, they say UDP were involved in it.
Absolutely.
It's UDP that incited them. It's cheap political propaganda that they've been doing ever since the days of Jammeh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, UDP were involved in this. UDP were involved in that every time. And when Solo Sendeng was killed, they say, oh, UDP had contacts with people from the diaspora. But Usainu Dawa was not even aware of what Solo and others were doing. And this is what they've been doing. So we are it's the cheapest way to gain popularity is to blame UDP of even things that they haven't done.
And to counter that, UDP leadership, we must commend them. Because
I am saying it today for the benefit of this program. It's time that the UDP media group get their act together and counter any statement that is made against UDP. If they have the facts, it's not for Mr. Dawo to be having occasional press briefings. If we have competent people in our executive that should ease the burden on Mr. Dawo and others and come out.
Yeah, the media. I mean, Mr. Dr. Savage, Dr. Skatal Jane, and
well, I mean, that's it. They need to come out and be more proactive, because the problem is we are having these press briefings, bringing Mr. Dawo there for him to counter it when we've got other things to talk about.
Yeah, and something like this before the next press conference, and that's a long time. You're right. Yeah. So maybe we need to impress onto them that they should come out more often. And
they should come out more often. It's not fair on the leadership itself.
Yeah.
To be having briefings like the latest one, they should be out. Okay. I mean, anything that happens in Barrow's camp, you hear the fact you had Bojang Sisoho or Ibrahim Sankare out. You don't hear President Barrow coming out.
Absolutely.
For God's sake, we're a government in waiting. We should start. Yeah. We cannot rely on Usainu Dabo every day, every hour to be coming out making statements.
Absolutely.
We have competent people within the party that should come out and give the statements.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one task for me to talk to these guys. Okay, but we have had, instead of commending the political party leader, of course he would not, for coming out every month to talk about issues that are happening We had Barrow saying that Nakeba, his Keba is holding press conferences, and he wasn't holding that pre 1990s pre 2026. Don't you think he is trying to?
Well. I am ready to challenge him. Maybe he wasn't following the party properly.
Yeah.
I have most of the press conferences. If there was anything, it was UDP that changed the political spectrum, whereby instead of waiting till 5 years before you contest for elections, it was UDP that made sure that they were on fire or they were on the ball every day, every week. We were consistently having press conferences. We'll deliver them out, we'll publish it out, we'll call the press in, either in Mr. Davos' chambers or at his house, and we will have the press conference. I will challenge anybody that wants to say that it's now we started having press conferences. I have dozens, tons of press conferences which UDP have delivered during the days of 1996 till 2016. And sometimes it doesn't even link with UDP, but national issues. Yeah. UDP will come out and give press statements. Mm-hmm. So if Adama Barrow is saying this, it's either he doesn't know or his team are not giving him the proper brief. And it's dishonest for anybody to say so.
Or he's just panicking.
No, you can't say that, because it's not only sort of sending press conference he gave so many of them.
Absolutely.
They're all there. If this was something that you said to me, I can start posting them just to report what he's saying. Yeah. I have most of it.
Absolutely.
From the bottom box.
Okay, so another issue that came out from what he is saying, because from Kanilai we probably will talk about Manduar, but another issue that Adama Barrow was talking about with his chiefs was that they should vote for him. They should, if they want to secure their tenure of office, they should not support the opposition. And that reminds me so much of Jammeh, and the desperation of this government. But then his minister also came out to say that they're going to give the chiefs and the alcalos a monthly salaries, which they should have done, 2-3 years ago before today, because now they are saying we're going to give you next financial year, which most likely will not find them there. Do you think the Barrow regime is desperate, and do you expect such outlandish statements like he made about the talks and about UDP and to come out at every time when he meets his traditional people or whoever he meets instead of?
Well, the way I see it is this: chieftaincy should have a salary.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one should politicize this, because when you become the chieftaincy, you're a servant,
Yeah. And the alcalos as well. He was talking about the alcalos.
Alcalos, all of them should have a salary.
Yeah.
And it is worrying that people, it's now, after so many years, they start saying that they're going to give them salaries.
Yeah.
This is something that should have been there ever since.
Absolutely.
Yes.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about, So what about the Manduar issue? We have seen that the alcalo in you have 2 alcalos in Manduar, a small settlement, and they have tried to issue out attestations which cause problems. What will you tell our supporters? Because I have seen in where I come from in Yamina, we have 2 alcalos. We have at the Kenda, at the seaside, at the riverside, we have an alcalo we gave to the settlement there. And what we told you, I think what the agreement with the 2 alcalos was that, you are going to be like a mini alcalo kind of. You're going to take care of issues that might rise down there. But if there are bigger issues like attestations and who is born where, you are going to bring this to our attention and we're going to take care of it. And this arrangement has been working fine. There was never any problems. Do you think that such arrangement should happen in Manduwar? Or what is your overall take on this issue?
Well, my overall take about this issue stems from the fact that the IEC went on a registration process without doing their homework well.
Yeah.
And it's something which has caused problems from Banjul all the way to Koina. First and foremost, there's currently a big question mark as to whether Rohilo should be responsible for attesting, giving attestations.
Yeah, but I think the IEC did a good job of that, saying that she should, because there are no.
Well, you see, this is something that should have been clarified from the onset.
No, but now, it has been happening since Jawara time. And
well, Kejau, if you give me time, I'll explain. The problem is,
yeah,
they're saying that when you have problems with documentation in Banjul, you normally go to the Banjul City Council for verification.
Thank you.
Now,
and this is what the mayor is saying.
They're saying now
yeah.
that this should not happen.
Okay.
This should not happen across the board. If this is what they're saying, then it should not happen across the board. What they should be doing is, we have Commission of Oaths, we have Justices of the Peace that we should be using to do attestation for all these documents across the board. In other words, no Alcalo or no Sefolu should be involved in attestation documents. Because when you have a Commission of Oaths doing it, it's a criminal offense to give false evidence.
Yeah, and that's a bit tricky.
That's even serious. That's serious for a Commission of Oaths.
Yeah.
Very serious.
The Commission of Oaths cannot attest that this guy was born.
But I'm just giving you the opportunity that they should have explored.
Yeah.
You know, each division should have had a registrar of births, certificates, and all that stuff. It's time that we decentralize this whole system of registration of births and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What's the point of having a local authority just there for doing the basic bits? It's time that we hand over most of these responsibilities at the local level. But don't give it to the Sefolus, don't give it to the Alcalos, don't give it to the mayors, because what happened, all these institutions are somehow politicized.
Yeah.
You understand? They're somehow politicized.
Absolutely.
Because today, what happened is, a Sefolu will think about his tenure.
Yeah.
Because what happened is, they can hire and fire you anytime.
Absolutely.
And Alcalo, the same thing happened. We also what happened in Latrikuda, where there's a big family among themselves. They're having a problem with who should be the Alcalo.
Yeah.
Now it's been rumored that the current Alcalo, the reason why he was accepted is because he's an MPP supporter.
Okay.
So now what you're going to see in that situation is, would you expect that Alcalo to be fair when we have 100 new voters new voters coming in? The likelihood he might side with the NPP.
So siding with the NPP means registering.
You see, this is what there's the likelihood that you end up registering. That's why I've said it in previous meetings.
So dodgy people are supposed to be voting for Adama Barrow. Is that your take?
Yeah, but the problem is, Kejau, we all have to look back and say, had we known, this is something that we should have resolved at the earliest opportunity when we won the elections. But we were too complacent, we were too timid.
So what could we have done?
Sorry?
What could we have done? And when we win
when we won, one of the first things we should have done is the electoral register should have been reviewed within 12 months.
Yeah.
That's what should have been done. And what we would have had by now is a supplementary register.
Absolutely.
And what we're doing now,
what's the situation now? How long is it valid for?
Well, what we're doing now is what I would call a race against time.
Yeah.
And that race against time has deprived me and yourself from getting right to vote. Now, this is something that we should have done from the earliest opportunity. Once the parliamentary elections were over, that was it. Yes, the next councillors' election will be based on a new registration. We never did. And I would say it again and again, I blame all political parties, all of them.
No, but they are responsible for registering voters.
No, but the problem is they should have passed a law straight away, calling for the repeal of the Electoral Act straight away and giving time limit for the IEC to start registering Gambians afresh.
Yeah.
And that would have been easy.
But why do we have to register? Why can't we just do it as the people are doing it here in the UK?
Well, yes, but the problem is we would have just scrapped that, because what happens is the IEC now are having a target saying that they want to register 1 million Gambians or whatever.
They're doing well. They're doing well.
Well, it's not about doing well. It's how authentic it is, how genuine it is. Are we having underage? Are we having underage voters on our list? You see, at the moment, if we had done it at the earliest time, like 2018, after the elections, 6 months before the elections, before the council's election, it would have been easier for all of us. There would have been no fuss, because then President Barrow was saying that he's going to do 3 years only. And there will be a transition. But now what you have is President Barrow is a referee, and he also wants to be a player.
Yeah.
And he has to look at his own interests.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I have to say it may not come out nice to my friends.
It's Barrow's fault. It's nobody else's fault.
Well, I mean, it's not. Well, it's all our fault. We
couldn't have known that Barrow would play this kind of game.
No, but the problem is, we won an election, and the first thing we talked about was to change the age for the vice presidency. We never thought about change the age for vice presidency, change the age for judges. We never talked about the voters' rights.
That is gradual. I think it was a gradual.
No, but that is something which I cannot sit on this panel and fail to raise it up. We should have raised it. And the failure of raising it is what we have today. Gambians in the diaspora, making almost more than 200,000 Gambians, cannot vote because we never made it a priority. Adama Barrow came here, Gambians will vote. Uncle Mamar Ndiaye said it in January, Gambians will vote. We go to the Supreme Court, Gambians will vote. But up to now, it looks as if we wouldn't have the right to vote. Somebody's using a technicality, saying the Constitution. Yeah. But if the Constitution is silent, the Supreme Court is a superior court in the Gambia. So if the Supreme Court has given a verdict, that verdict should be abided.
I think the Constitution is not really silent. It says every Gambian should be.
It says every Gambian, but what the argument Uncle Ali Mwanjai states is that for Gambians in the diaspora to vote, there should be a constitutional amendment.
How?
Now, I am saying, out of respect for him, that no, you got it wrong.
Yeah.
There is a court order that says there's a judgment that says that Gambians in the diaspora should vote. And that's what you have to. In the absence of constitutional amendments, you go by the common law. And the common law is there as a backup.
Yeah, or any statutes that we want.
Yes, yeah.
But since we don't have any statutes, we have to go by. So why is he blatantly refusing to enforce a court order?
Well, that's something which we wait to hear from the court. I wouldn't want to prejudice it. Let's wait for the judgment. Let's wait. I understand they're still in court. They should be in court.
We have to go to court to enforce a court judgment.
Well, that's unfortunate, because I think what happened was the court just gave an order.
Okay.
Now, what should have happened, and I don't want to question the intelligence of those 7 judges, is that there should have been directions that this has to be complied by a certain period.
Yeah.
This wasn't done, and I leave that in the capable hands of my landed colleagues who were pursuing this case in the Supreme Court.
Yeah. But if they don't give a time frame, that means reasonable.
Well, that's what should have happened is that if you remember in the case of Yakumba Jaite, not only did they threw the case out. They said that the person should hand over straight away and she should return straight away. So there were directions after the order were made. In this one, I am not sure the directions were made.
Yeah,
that's why they're going back
to make a direction in this kind of case because there's no elections right there.
No, but you should have given a direction saying that they should be in the earliest opportunity. Gambians set guidelines for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, but we have our colleagues who are pursuing it in
yes,
and hopefully it will not be too late for us to all vote. Yeah, or otherwise we'll probably have to book our tickets for the supplemental. Mr. Goswell is gone again.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the Manduar issue. You've understand what the Manduar issue is. What is your take on it?
Well, my take on this is this. The Manduar issue, I'm made to understand that this crisis has been an ongoing crisis since the days when Honorable Laminwa Juara was Minister of Local Government. But the little I know about it is that there's some question as to the legitimacy of the Alcalo.
Yeah.
And as a result, it has caused a big fuss as to who is the Alcalo. Yeah. And there's an issue as to whether these people, whether it was a settlement that was built in order to create an avenue for illegal voting, or whether it was a settlement that was created for people that migrated. And it's what you will call sort of a Jewish settlement, if I want to be very, very crude. And what's happened now is that the people are resenting the legitimacy of that alcaloship. Now, it's a shame that when UDP supporters or patriotic supporters, Gambians, come out to question certain issues, there's still this issue of whether it was illegitimate or whether it's a xenophobic or whether it's tribalist. But as I said to you earlier, those who were supposed to attest, to do the attestations, should have been identified at the very earliest opportunity. Yeah. 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. Yeah, so it's very unfortunate that we have so many issues down there. But
we have so many issues which should have been resolved before we went out registering Gambians.
Yeah.
And now the time frame is too short for us to review this. And the next problem that will happen, of which people have been giving it lip service, is the revising courts.
Yeah.
Because it's not finished yet. So what will happen is that if you're not happy with somebody's name, you will go to the court to question that person right to have a voter's card. And if the courts... Which courts
are we talking about here? High court?
Revising courts. They're sort of like a subordinate court. They look into the application. You can go and say, oh, Kejau, it's not supposed to be on the electoral register. And then you bring in evidence, they might take his name off. So once they've done the register, it will be published.
And then we can prosecute the people who are...
No, what will happen is you can just go and question somebody and say, this man is not a Gambian, why is he on the list?
Yeah, and then we can prosecute them. Because it's not...
Well, I mean, you can prosecute the person.
Yeah.
The person that was put on the list. You can erase the person's name from the list. In most cases, I haven't heard of any situation where certain people have been taken off the list. Yes.
Really, even after the courts. But that's probably because we had a dictatorship. Well, we should be able to prosecute these people who blatantly or disobey our laws. I mean, if it's in the US, they will deport them. We should be able to have some laws to make sure that this kind of thing. So, but will the revising courts have enough time?
Well, the last time this thing happened, they were given a very short calendar, very short period. With the new judicial dispensation that we have, where they've continued to show some degree of independence, I'm hoping that they'll give them enough and
enough of independence
time for them to deal with these cases, because in those days it was less than 700,000. Now you're talking of 1 million voters. So the onus lies on them to make sure they have enough time.
Well, hopefully the percentage of people registering will not be that much, because the police are also a little bit, they've shown a little bit independence. So, you know, hopefully, and they've gone after people who are already registered, who already are flaunting these laws. So hopefully we'll have the number of people that we are disputing reduced. So what about the Manduan issue? To come back to that, do you think the UDP should have should allow the youth in not only, that's not the UDP matter, but the youth in Mandua? Do you think they should allow this Alcalo to go ahead and then afterwards contest it
well, I mean, the problem is, it's a shame people want to attribute a political party with it. Mm-hmm. If you know your area very well, you know who lives there. Yeah. And what happens in the situation of Mandua, as I'm made to believe, is that there are some people that are saying these people should not be registered. It's illegal registration. Yeah. And it's illegal registration because of the powers and the opportunities which have been given to the so-called Alcalo. Now, what happened here is that we all remember they've gone to court to challenge Rohilu's right to attest, give attestation. I believe situation like that should be repeated in Mandua as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the same people. So do you know who went to court? Is it Halifa Saleh and the team? Or? Yes, I think he was talking about the fact that he go to court, and the UDP leadership was not happy that they're using Rohilo's name instead of her office. You know, because it's
well, the problem is it's the same situation.
Yeah. Very interesting. So if we move on to what the other things that are happening, I don't know if you're aware, but NPP has also produced a manifesto. I'm not sure if you have seen this manifesto, and I have seen this morning, and I had a quick look through it. It looks like very much like that. That I think I sent it to you. In fact, when I got it, it looks very much like a copycat of our own policies. You know, the policies that we want to implement. And you know, if you haven't taken a look at it, we can move into other issues like the Fatu Camara. I think last night Fatu Network invited Mr. I don't know what is it called again.
Babaja.
Babaja, yeah, you saw it.
Well, you see, the problem is I don't follow Babaja. I mean, I believe in the school of progressive politics. So I don't believe in all that rubbish that if a media outlet wants cheap popularity by calling someone like Babaja to pour profanity on any political party, I'm not going to listen to that program. I don't even listen to it.
Absolutely.
Yes, because the problem is its pettiness, and it's time that people know that these things do not argue well for NPP.
No.
It doesn't. If this man his own job is basically to start falsifying issues about Usain Olabo or anyone else, then it just discredits the credibility of the newspaper outlet.
Okay.
You know, I mean, Fatu Network, Fatu Camera. It's a lady that I have so much respect for. For her radio to be used to insult anyone, to come up with some unsubstantiated allegations, it's of bad taste. Now we tend to criticize Panderimbai, saying Panderimbai is doing this, but whereas we have some that are based in the Gambia, some that are regulated by Pura, and are doing the same thing. You see, there should be some sort of regulations about what you can say on these media outlets.
Yeah, I think they are.
And in all honesty, it should be condemned. It should be condemned.
Absolutely. But
And if it means that if such statements are made, it should be counted. Absolutely. You cannot broadcast something which is malicious and something which is sickening. You see? But it's a common trend that is going on in this country, that people, it's a free-for-all situation. You go on a private media and you insult people. And then we start saying, oh, had we known, we should have taken the right step. No, what we should have done in the onset is to condemn it. Absolutely. Yes.
And not give credibility to.
You don't have to give credibility to it. There's other things that we can do, but it's not an ideal forum for me to say anything about it.
Yeah, yeah. But I think the media also should people are really angry. UDP supporters are really angry about Party Network, and they're saying she shouldn't have allowed it to happen.
Well, I mean, the problem is they've been doing this. You see, let's be fair. We even have our own Savali that goes on our own Savali, as we say, yeah? Let's be fair about it. It's time that we don't entertain anybody.
Yeah.
On any of these radios to insult anybody.
He doesn't throw profanities on anyone.
No, it doesn't. Okay, well, okay, but sometimes there's certain things that these radios tolerate, which they shouldn't. They should on self-censorship because it's of bad taste.
Yeah, absolutely. So since you brought the Sabali issue, I'll move on to to what you think about
look, let's be fair and let's be honest to ourselves. There's certain things that we will say on radios that may not be helpful.
No.
And I'm saying it here. I care less whether people like it or not. Yes. Certain things that we shouldn't be saying. People would tell me that that individual wasn't speaking on behalf of the party. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But when it's said and it affects others, we have to bear in mind that it's UDP again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you think the party leadership should have come out to talk about, especially when he trashed the TRRC, where UDP is...
Well, I mean, it is a very unfortunate thing, because if you had followed UDP's history very well, and this Kejau, this is back from the bottom box again, I'm telling you, we were one of the first political parties that said we cannot take everybody to court.
No.
We will have TRC.
Yeah.
Yes, we said it in our 2001 manifesto that there will be a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So it's not something that we'll be saying just recently when Adama Barrow won. It was part and parcel of our manifestos, successive manifestos that we have introduced to the public. And when you look at it, UDP has more victims than anyone.
Absolutely.
For the past 22 years.
Yeah.
So we cannot say you are in our party and still feel free to condemn the TRRC. The TRRC, in as much as it's not UDP's property, UDP have suffered a lot, and some of our victims, supporters, need redress. And we can only have it through TRRC or TRC if we go to the original name. So I'm saying it as it is.
Absolutely. I'm just listening to what our readers are saying, our listeners are saying. Former is saying Balo is losing his head. Now that things are getting closer, he's beginning to be deeply concerned about his fate in December. What do you think Barrow's fate will be in December?
Well, I'm saying it as it is.
Yeah. You think he will? Some people are thinking that he might be a very bad loser since he started playing bad cassette now, bad tapes now. You think he might also say, I have won. I'm not going to go anywhere, just like Jammeh did.
Well, the whole idea is that we wouldn't want him to go any other way, because the only place he has is the Gambia. And what he has to do is to do it rightly. He shouldn't inflame this country to the point that it ignites and causes a lot of problems. This is the only country they have.
Yeah, yeah. We have, yeah.
Right? Look at President Jammeh today, or former President Jammeh. He's at Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me that he's happy with it? He's not.
No, of course not.
He doesn't see his family, few people he talks to.
Yeah.
He must be very miserable where he is.
Instead of
And this is what we should avoid. We should avoid turning this country to a war zone.
We should, and as the president, he has a very important role to play there. Someone saying, Mas A. Bajinka is saying, the Kanila incident happened before Barrow's speech. The attack was in the morning. So he must have listened to these attacks, and just to get votes, just to get APRC sympathy and votes, he doesn't care. He went around.
It does reinforce what I was saying.
Yeah.
But this was an omen when he heard about it. He must have heard about it. He should have condemned it. But he was well-tuned to go on the attack on UDP.
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. Some people are saying, you've got Sabali's fans there. Suleiman Sanya is saying, Sabali doesn't criticize the TRRC, but SR5 instead, and it's his own personal opinion.
Well, I mean, that's a matter of opinion, and may I make it crystal clear that it's not about SR5 I'm talking about. I'm talking about the whole, any comment, any criticism of the TRRC in its present form. I have an issue with it, especially from a political perspective.
Yeah. Okay. So and moving on to the same issue here, just following the trail. Some people are saying that it was SR5 he was criticizing, and when he went on the radio, it was SR5 that he was emphasizing on instead of the TRRC. He apologized, and then he has shown that that he has no problem with the TRRC, and he thinks TRRC should be great.
Kejau, are you saying to me that he's apologized
about what he said about the TRRC?
Yeah.
Yeah, in so many words, yeah.
All right, then he's forgiven.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then he's forgiven. But I mean, I won't mince my words what I've said.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. But afterwards, some Deutsche supporters are saying afterwards he went on to Ken Fatu, and all he was doing was what's it called again? What's the word again? He was kind of defending Yaya Jammeh instead of UDP. I haven't seen that, and I don't think you have seen it either. But what about SR5? What do you think? Some people are saying because of SR5's attempt to throw his hat in the ring, this might jeopardize the TRRC.
Well, I mean, the problem is SR is not part of. SR does not own the TRRC. SR was asked to do a job to present the evidence. SR has done that. Let's move on. What I see is people trying to politicize it. In other words, you become a judge, you finish your job as a judge, and you enter into politics.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's any problem with that, I haven't seen a problem with it. It's SR's right to participate in the political affairs of his country.
Absolutely.
And if he feels like taking part in the process, we should welcome it.
Yeah.
As I said, the more the merrier.
Absolutely.
But the problem is what we're saying, he's due. What will happen is this: the commission will look at the evidence and make their decision.
Yeah.
Recommendation will go to the president for him to come up with a white paper on how he's going to implement the recommendations. Period. Mr. Fall has already done his job, presented the evidence as he could, and that's it. Now it's up to the commission to sit down, look at the evidence. If they're convinced, go ahead with it and make their recommendations.
Yeah. So Adama Barrow should not make this as an excuse to Because I think what we can see from his statement yesterday, I think he's trying to have a coalition with the APRC.
Well, I mean, that's up to Gambians. Mm-hmm. That's up to Gambians. If Adama Barrow, it's up to Gambians if they want.
Yeah, but as the president, he's the only one with the duty to write the white paper.
Well, the problem is,
can the government come back and execute this recommendation?
Well, I know there are plans on the way that will force this government to implement the decisions to the TRRC.
Really?
Yeah, there could be legal challenges, but I will leave that for now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the way to go.
Because in all fairness, the implementation of TRRCs has not been a success story across the board.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the one in Nigeria, I mean, you can read the report and everything. You look at the one in Sierra Leone, the one in Ghana, and the one in South Africa, only few of them have been implemented to the letter. Mm-hmm. But I think Gambia being a small country, and I also blame our so-called foreign partners who talk the talk and don't do the work.
Like how?
Because the problem is compensation will be very, very difficult if we do not have the funds. Transitional justice is a very expensive enterprise. Yeah. And if these foreign countries do not come up and top up the compensation bill, leave it at the hands of the Gambia government, then it will become a meaningless exercise.
Yeah, I mean, those are two. That's another issue. But the issue now we're talking here about is the distribution part, if you like, you know, where we punish people who are found.
Yes. But there are two sides to it. You have the prosecution side, you have the compensation side.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now the prosecution side is they have evidence, but what they will say is, okay, you take them to court. How do you take them to court? Do we have the court structure well financed to do these cases? Do we have people that will do the forensic evidence and all that stuff? Because it's just got evidence gathering. What you fail to understand is then you have the defense.
Yeah.
Those who will involve in the defense. And there will be a very strong defense to the TRRC reports.
Yeah.
Because it's very based on what people are saying. You now have to substantiate it with evidence, electronic, scientific, everything.
Yeah.
And this is 22 years since these things happen. And it's a difficult enterprise. So what will happen is that if we do not have the sufficient funding for it, it will become a wasted exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
you can see from the solo sending case, it's still going on.
Yeah.
It's still going on. That case should have finished right now, but it's still going on because there's a lot of gaps in it.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of delaying tactics which some are playing. It's been to the Court of Appeal twice on some few issues. I've never come across situations where a court has to be, a criminal prosecution is being stalled by consistent applications to the Court of Appeal.
Absolutely. And I think the problem started when we appoint private prosecution, you know, and those private prosecutors are paying a lot of money.
Well, yes, I mean, I'm not, but the problem is the private prosecution is not my issue. The issue is...
Well, that might be the problem. That might be one of the reasons why they're installing, because the more time they spend in the court, the more they get paid.
Well, I mean, you may be right. You may be right with that, but I was understanding that they were already given a fixed payment for this job being done.
Okay.
So I was of the impression that they've already been given a fixed payment, which will cover the prosecution in this case as long as, because these people have finished prosecution already.
Yeah.
They've finished their case.
Okay, so it's the defense that is playing.
It's a defense that is playing delaying tactics.
Maybe it's about time we start calling out the defense lawyers.
Well, sorry, I mean,
problems in our judicial system, that sometimes we have to be a little bit hard on even the judiciary. You know, we have people.
No, but the problem is, it's something not ideal for this.
With our problem, with cases there, you know, someone who has been a victim himself, and we have so many reports about him, you know, just playing very bad, you know, giving very bad judgment about cases that are clear cut, and we've seen the UDP issue as well. So, you know, I mean, you know, do you think we should start calling out the defense lawyers as well?
No, I think it's. Kejau, I think if I look at it, if you follow the English legal system here,
yeah,
a trial will not last long for more than a month.
Yeah.
Because what happens is they've given you ample time for you to prepare your case, prepare how many witnesses you're going to have, and they have what you call the listing window. And when you have the listing window, you agree how long it will take for this case. These are things that you have to agree with.
Yeah.
When I went to law school, there's what you call plea and directions hearing. That's where you have the parties appear before court and they agree on the time frame.
Yeah.
And they will say, based on the indictment, I'm supposed to have 8 witnesses, and based on the evidence, I will spend about 1 week, and based on the evidence, they say also 1 week, and then you got summing up, judgment. So all these things are being argued at the earliest opportunity. I'm not aware whether we have something similar in the Gambia.
Yeah. No,
I may want to believe that it's not something that could be done, because with regards to evidence gathering, trying to get witnesses, all adjournments upon adjournments. But in England, as I know, is that before the case starts trial, they've already agreed on the timetable.
Mm-hmm.
And the timetable will say this case should not last for more than 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I have never come across a case. I've never heard of a case that's gone for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Much more.
Because what happens is everything has been streamlined and all that stuff. See? Yes. Yeah. But in this case, it's gone for over nearly 2 years now.
Exactly.
And
initially, the problem I had was that you know, both sides of the case keep adjourning because they cannot find time. They take so many cases, they cannot find time to be in court.
Well, you know, but I don't want to get into that argument. The whole problem I'm saying is the judiciary and the criminal justice system has to be revisited, whereby if you have a case concerning any case, you say, okay, a case concerning road traffic case, we give you 3 days for it to finish. A case concerning a murder, we say 2 weeks. So all these things, they have to have time frames that are in place so that the case could finish as soon as possible. Because there's a famous quote said, justice is sweetest when it is fresh. Yeah. If you have this case of solo sending, it's getting stale now, over 2 years. And the mortal remains of solo sending are yet to be buried, according to Islamic rites. The body is still at the mortuary, and they're still waiting for this case to be disposed of before they can perform Islamic.
Look at the Kejau Touray case. That's been wrapped up, and that sounds like a difficult case on this one.
Well, according to the information I have, next week Wednesday we should have a judgment.
Okay, on Solo Sunday case.
Oh no, on Kejau Touray.
No, I think there was a judgment. They're going to. You mean the sentencing?
No, there's going to be a judgment on the 14th of July.
Really? I thought the judgment came out already and he was found guilty.
No, it's not been found guilty yet. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Wow. Cool. Very interesting. It's just down here. So you are saying that Mr. File has all right to. I agree. He has all right to to contest elections, and you know, that you shouldn't allow. But you're not saying whether UDP can come out, you know, and enforce what the TRRC is saying, you know, because you know, by the look of it, even if we take the government to court so that they can enforce these judgments, I mean, these cases, you know, it might take a long time before they come
Well,
out.
what I've said it before. UDP is a party that suffered a lot from 22 years, and when you look at the testimonies that have been heard at the court, UDP had the biggest share of the injuries. So it looks as if we can easily call UDP the ANC of the Gambia.
Yeah.
Because we suffered a lot. And I do not know of any political party in that region that has gone for almost 20 years been subjected to brutality.
Yeah.
Some have died, some haven't given their own part of the story. Some are even embarrassed to testify before TRRC. So TRRC is our baby, if we want to say it.
Okay.
But it's not there for us all. It's not there only for UDP, it's for everyone. If you were a victim. Don't forget the military personnel that suffered as well. Some spent 30 months in custody, untried, came out, no compensation, being sacked from their jobs. Others have to leave the country. The list is endless. So this is why I'm saying that we should not play with TRRC, because so much has come out, which people are now saying, I never knew that this happened. Some APRCs, we never knew that this happened in the Gambia. Just like what happened in the Jana Commission. We never knew that somebody will go to the bank and give a short note and being given sacks of money. That's what used to happen under the Jame era. And that's something that we should be. And that's something which this government, so with his party called MPP, to be mindful of. Is that why you were voted into office? Haven't you got any empathy for the victims? Haven't you got empathy for the Gambian people that suffered because of corrupt practices of the APRC regime, of which one man could do what he liked? They could be one man come home. And you dare say you want to form a coalition with that party?
Exactly, yeah. I think Gambian people should really punish them.
Well, I mean, this is the issue. This is what I keep telling people, that this is not a fight
with the UDP.
It's not a fight between MPP. It's a fight for conscience.
Yes, yeah. But
are you in your right conscience to vote for a party that will form coalition with another party that subjected us to all 22 years of hardship? I mean, they will come up with so much things about the infrastructural developments, the education, all that stuff. Yes, we have no objection to that, but people's lives were lost. Some were tortured. Some were widowed. So are those lives not important? And anybody that's got good conscience should think twice.
Yeah.
If you don't want to vote for the other parties there, the NP, there's PDOIs, there's Gambia for all, the other political parties that you can vote for. But to vote for NPP, knowing what NPP are bound to do or about to do in the next 5 years, having an same platform with APRC, then definitely something was wrong.
Yeah. But some people, they see this as you know, as between the UDP and
well, I mean, you see, Kejau, let me tell you something. Yeah. I'm going to make a confession. In as much as I love UDP to the bottom of my heart, I look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not about UDP, but it's about Barrow. against the Gambians. Yes.
Absolutely. And we urge everyone.
That's my main point. Barrow is making a mockery of what we've stood for the last 22 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it is important that people make note of that. What we are seeing is a civilized, it's what we call Yaya Jammeh with a human face.
Yeah.
If you know history well, when Alexander Dubček said he was going to introduce socialism, socialism was seen as something ruthless. And he said, oh, my socialism is socialism with a human face. And what you see today is Adama Barrow being Yaya Jammeh with a human face.
Yeah.
But the same tune, the same brutality. I mean, look at how they got involved in the 3 years Jordan demonstration.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. That means if he has the opportunity to be like Yaya Jammeh, he can be.
Well, precisely. At the moment, everybody is mindful not to offend donors, but we'll give him 5 years. You see, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like that. It looks like the next 5 years will be really, really, really divisive.
Well, it's up to Gambians. Yeah.
I think it's really important that we put that across to the people that this is against the Barrow against the Gambian people, and not only Barrow as against the UDP. That's why we have to go ahead and get all these people and get anybody who supports Barrow out of the NPP as much as possible.
Well, I mean, whether we like it or not, Barrow will have followers.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether we like, but the main thing we have to bear in mind is that we need to impress, we need to prevail over people. To bear in mind that the stakes are very high.
Yeah, but my problem is people like Alkali Conte, people like Lamin Tunkara, who have been in the struggle for years. How are they going to sit down and see Barrow merge with APRC?
Well, time will tell. I'll tell you something, time will tell. And this is not the ideal forum for me to say anything about it. Yeah. Perhaps when we are off camera, we can talk about it. Yeah. But time will tell. Because what you end up seeing is that an MPP, a different MPP to the MPP that they conceived.
Absolutely.
And then they will come and say, oh, we were here many years ago and see what they've done to us.
Yeah.
The battle is not over yet.
No, absolutely. Just starting.
This was what happened with APRC. When APRC started, they had genuine people that supported them. Some genuine people supported them. In the end, those people were sidelined.
Absolutely.
And that could happen.
Yeah, I know it looks like that's going to happen because I had so many rumors that he has planned for even Alkali Conte and the others. So if Alkali Conte, if you are listening, I didn't tell you.
Well, I mean, the NPP that you see today will be a different NPP that you will see when he wins.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why they cannot even hold what's it called again? The Congress, a proper Congress.
Well, I mean, they're not obliged to hold a Congress because the party is less than 2 years old.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, that's beside the point.
And the problem is it's even good for us that they don't hold a Congress. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe because if they do, it's going to break it up because everybody's looking for positions there.
Well, if they do, they'll have to come up with a properly constituted executive.
Yeah.
And they will have the elections, who is who.
Absolutely.
And then you will have to
break it up.
Yes.
And we break the fragile party.
Well, that's what we're made to believe. That the whole political apparatus will be exposed. Because you see those that have been there, the grassroots, being sidelined.
Absolutely.
Because they will say under the pretext of we want to be all inclusive. But by doing so, they might even sideline some of the hardcore supporters that have been there since its inception.
Yeah, okay. So wrapping up, we had the death of the demise of Mustafa Fay, Ali Kalaji, a member of the struggle. I just want to take this opportunity to pay my tribute to him and his family. He did well for the struggle. He was in Stockholm. We all went to Stockholm. Those in the Nordic diaspora, then Nordic struggle. And then we all gathered in Stockholm. He did his part. He's opened his doors to so many people. To some of our colleagues who went to stay with him. And may his soul rest in peace. I understand he went to Banjul to set up a radio station, and he was invited by what's it called again? Lamin Sedi. Lamin Sedi seems to be the front man for Barrow businesses. He has recently won Gumtel awards for contracts for other things. So Mr. Ali Kalaji's soul rest in perfect peace. I don't know if Mr. Goswell, you know him, or if you want to throw in a few words.
Yes, I have had some exchange with him. I have followed Alaji Mustafa during the days of Gambia L. I consider him as a very dynamic person at the time when few people were brave enough to speak up. In as much that we parted politically, he went to NPP, and I still.
Okay, he was in NPP.
No, I mean, hang on, I'm coming. He went to NPP, and we stayed where we are.
Yeah.
I still, as a good Christian, pray for the repose of his soul, and may Jaratu Firdaus be his final abode. I mean, he has been a remarkable person at the time when very few people had the audacity to speak up.
Absolutely.
And that's what we really have to remember him of.
Of course.
Is present overtone before he died, being a member or being a supporter of Barrow is irrelevant at this time. But what we have to say, he did what very few people could do. Set up his radio, talking about the issues, going on radio, bringing up issues which very few were able to talk about. And my condolence goes to the entire Fire family of Dobson Street. And I pray that God grants them the courage for them to mourn peacefully until we meet again. Ali Kalaji, sa liggéey rafet na wax. Yal na suuf sedda sa kaw.
Yes. I didn't know he was from Dobson. I think Dobson is the same place that the current.
Yes, that's their family home. 75 Dobson Street, I think so. Yes, yeah.
Okay. So hopefully we'll be here next week too.
Well, I mean, a point of correction, if we're going to be here, we're going to be here early because the European finals, maybe by then England would have been in the finals. Hopefully we would have beaten Denmark, and I'll have to be watching England capture the trophy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I missed the match yesterday, so I had to rewind it and play it all over again. But yeah, you are right. I mean, next Sunday we can be here early.
Yes, we will make we will come to an agreement by Thursday. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have seen concerns about, suggestions from people like Geneva Bar, so that we can invite their.
Well, yes, I definitely want to have Geneva because I want to ask her some questions.
Yeah.
And Sister Olidiva also, and the rest. But the one the other person I want to hear from is Ramzi Diab.
Yeah. Ramzi also come, and Sister Sar.
Yes.
Yeah, I think she's part of the thing. But what I was trying to say is that Geneva wants us to invite the diaspora from Sweden to come in. I understand they might not be able to.
It's up to them. It's, as I know, as you keep telling me, it's open to everyone.
Yeah.
So they can come over. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we wrap it up today a little bit early, but it's been a very fruitful discussion, and I thank my co-host, Mr. Goswell, as usual, for his insight and legal perspective, as well as the legal mind that he brings along. I want to remind our listeners that UDP is very much blessed with a lot of talents, with people who are really passionate about their country, and we can really bring change when we're given this opportunity in 2021. And I urge my fellow my host, my fellow co-host, Mr. Goswell, I hope he will take this opportunity to go to Banjul when UDP wins, so that he can take up important ministerial positions or work for the country.
Well, I mean, Kejau, I think there are many people that can do what you perceive me to be competent of doing. And I think all I want is to see a UDP government, and for the rest of the people in the government to implement our policies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but absolutely. I was talking to my auntie Elizabeth Sose, and I impressed on her, because I went to one of your what's it called again, a talk you were talking on with I think the Gambia House, about the voting things that we have in our country, and the fact that the diaspora are not allowed to vote. And I was telling her that I had Mr. Goswell, and he was one of the people who was coming out and pushing, the one talking about the real issue that that UDP really has talents that we can harness, and she agreed, and so I said I probably will talk to Mr. Goswell so that he start packing up come 2021.
And what did she say?
Yeah, she said, yeah, of course, she's encouraging you to take up. She says, she thinks that the UDP is probably not using folks like you as much as they should be.
But anyway, Kejau, we will not say that on live program. Yes, let's leave that. Let's speak that shit privately. Yeah?
How is it like? I say it as it is.
Well, we know Kejau is Kejau. Yeah.
Exactly.
Somebody told me that many years ago.
Yeah, exactly. When you asked me, you must have expected me to say as it is.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, Mr. Goswell. I don't know what will be your last word to our viewers.
Anyway, it's been a while. I've come back. We've come back. We only hope that we will be regular this time, and we'll make sure that from now till December, we will be on the airwaves every weekend. But it all depends, man proposes and God disposes. So, I mean, these are things that we just have to bear in mind. So all we have to do is we have to do our best. And if we're not available, we will make it known to people that due to circumstances beyond our control, we can't come this day or this Sunday. But we'll try and do our best to make sure that this page is this radio is well in tune with the issues, because it's going to get very busy and very, very intense for us, because it's the elections coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
On that note, I say thank you to all our listeners. Hopefully, we should be back
next Sunday. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Thanks a lot then. Bye-bye, listeners. Bye-bye.
Bye.